Hello, hi, welcome back to my course on enhancing soft skills and personality. I am Professor Ravichandran from the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, IIT Kanpur. We are giving this course to you through the format of NPTEL MOOC. This is the first week and fourth unit, and this is the fourth lesson. As far as the concept is concerned, this is the second topic on mindset, and in this lesson we will focus on learning mindsets. If you remember what we did in the previous one, I will just try to recapitulate very quickly as what I did in the last lesson. In the last one, I discussed various types and definitions of mindset. Basically, I tried to focus on the definition that mindset is one's basic belief, mental attitude, habitual way of interpreting and responding to situations. Often we do not know that it's our mindset that is determining the way in which we are giving our opinion, the way in which we are deciding to choose something. We actually do not know, but it is something that we have developed habitually, we have developed through our experience. Now, the focus on this mindset, particularly we talked about various types of mindset. So, that helps us in developing our personality and skills such as soft skills, which are actually appearing to be something that is trying to exemplify in terms of behavior what we have inside us. Now, back to mindset, same situation can be responded to in different ways owing to different mindsets. I gave you the example of rainfall, a rain that's falling in some place. One person is so inspired to write even a poem on that, and whereas the other person feels so depressed, and then even he may think of even committing suicide in that mood. So, our mood is another thing that mindset is contributing to. So, the way we respond to failure in particular tells us whether we have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. So, the one with a fixed mindset, whenever there is a situation where he or she is confronted with failure, believes that he or she lacks the talent, lacks the trait. That is why he or she has failed in that situation. So, it is important to nurture a growth mindset to keep enhancing personality traits and skills. However, it is harmful to have a fixed mindset as it leads to mental inertia and intellectual fossilization. So, what is meant by this? If for a long time your mind starts thinking in the same way, there is a kind of patterning that is happening and inertia develops. You will keep on thinking in the same way, you will repeat the same behavior again and again to the same situation, and you will not think of responding in a different manner given the same situation that recurs frequently. So, it is harmful to have that kind of fixed mindset, especially if you are interested in developing and enhancing your personality. We also discussed in the previous lesson about the distinguishing traits of growth mindset people in comparison and contrast with those people who have fixed mindset. Some of the traits that we discussed in the previous one include their ability to welcome challenges, that is, people with growth mindset, they have the ability to welcome challenges, they embrace changes, they look for opportunities, even in a very highly desperate situation, they look for opportunities, and they are always optimistic in their thinking, they are not put down by any setback. They are willing to learn from failure, and in fact they learn so much from failure, and they respond to feedback instead of giving negative response to criticism like the fixed mindset people. They respond to feedback and they are always exploring new things because their attitude towards learning is something that goes for a lifelong period. Learning is not something they stop with high school or with college or with university education. Learning is something that they continue till the end of their life. Because of this attitude, when a person has a growth mindset, we also need to realize and know and understand what is it that is trying to determine the way we learn something. That is what I try to identify as learning mindsets. Look at this way, ask this question: why is it that some students prefer maths and for some other students it's actually an allergy? The same thing can be said about so many other subjects. For some students, computer science, it's like eating the cake, whereas for some other students it's causing much of allergy. There is technophobia, there is fear of even touching the computer. Now, why is it so? Same thing we can talk about fine arts. For some students, drawing a picture, painting something comes so naturally than working out with some kind of scientific theorems and calculations. So much so we can say the same thing about in terms of learning a language. For some, learning a language comes so easily. For some, it's very difficult. Now, why do you think so? If we deeply analyze, again, the root cause is in the way one has developed a learning mindset. This means apart from one's IQ, that is apart from one's intelligent quotient, by which one is able to acquire knowledge, skills, techniques and other methodologies much more efficiently than others. One's smartness is determined by this level in which one is able to execute a task with speed, accuracy, efficiency much more than the other person. Now, apart from this IQ, one's perception about oneself as a learner determines the way a person learns a subject. This means apart from one's basic skill set, one's intelligence, one's brain's level of acquiring information, apart from this, the way a person is believing or understanding as how the person is able to gain, acquire knowledge about a subject. So, that actually determines the person's performance in that subject also. In short, the mindset one has towards learning will affect one's overall decisions, whether he or she is making towards his or her learning objectives. This again simply means whether you like a subject or not, whether you are performing in that subject with high level of grades or not, that depends on not your IQ as such, but on the way you are believing that you are capable of learning the subject. Although it is not actually about your capacity, it is more about your belief and the attitude, the perspective and the understanding that you have about yourself. Let us go back to some of the ideas that has been discussed in Carol Dweck's book on mindset. One of the important observation that comes from the book is that the author says we have developed our learning mindsets from the primary or even the middle school level itself. So, we go back and then it is not just getting developed at a later stage, but even at a very early days of our schooling, our mindset towards learning some subjects, our preferences, our likeness and our dislikeness. So, all are developed at that stage itself. But the other interesting factor is that although we have tried to condition our mind, okay, created a kind of mindset in terms of preferences, likeness, human intelligence is not actually bound by this kind of preferences. Human intelligence is highly adaptable, it is malleable, it can be changed, it can be molded, especially when it is confronted with new challenges, it can easily adapt, it can change. Unlike the fixed mindset that we might have developed, or contrary to what we think that we cannot do that, human intelligence as such can be developed because of its adaptable nature. So, a person with fixed mindset, as Carol Dweck points out, believes that intelligence itself to be a fixed trait, whereas in truth intelligence is not a fixed trait. But the person with a fixed mindset will tend to believe that intelligence cannot be developed, intelligence cannot be grown. Brain itself is limited, brain cannot be grown. That is the thinking of a person with a fixed mindset. However, with growth mindset, a person can learn from any unfamiliar field also, unexplored area, unknown area, completely unknown, totally new subject. Even then a person with a growth mindset can learn and gain from that, because people with growth mindset believe in the growth intelligence. They believe that intelligence can be grown, especially when it is added with new information and latest skill sets. They are willing to acquire the state of the art skill sets which are available. They are willing to challenge themselves to develop new knowledge. So, they also subsequently believe that their realm of knowledge in terms of brain acquisition itself can be expanded. The moment something in us tells us that we are not that smart, oh, that guy is smarter than me, that guy has a better DNA, that guy must be genius, she is so naturally talented, but I am not that smart, I am not that talented. So, the moment this kind of talking is happening in our mind, saying that we are not endowed with the talent, skill to learn that particular subject or enter into that field or know something about that area, we should understand that we are in a fixed learning mindset. So, the moment something comes and tells in our mind, no, no, you can't do this, so you are not smart to learn this. To change it, what should we do? We need to practice. So, we need to welcome challenge, we need to practice, we need to take extra tutorials, we need to meet the teacher, take extra time, spend slightly extra time in a consistent manner in the initial days. But sooner or later you will realize that you also is making headway, making good progress, and you also realize that, oh, it is nothing to do with smartness. Make baby steps, one step at a time, but be firm that you will make one step. So, that is how you will reach towards your goal, one at a time, to affirm, to confirm in your mind and change that mindset and reform your established belief system that is contributing to the fixity of the mindset. Now, Dweck and others also point out another interesting thing about laziness. Even laziness is actually lack of effort caused by a fixed mindset. So, laziness as such, there is nothing like laziness, it is only lack of interest, it is only lack of one's inherent interest that is preventing him or her to take efforts to do that. So, it is actually not laziness. Students or people with fixed mindset, so they will see extra efforts as waste of time. So, they will think that why should I spend extra time in this subject? So, I am weak, I am dull, I am stupid, I am not smart, I cannot learn this. So, let me not even take any effort in learning this. So, that is the one with fixed mindset. Now, having described this aspect of learning mindset, let me try to give you some suggestions, ideas as how you can develop growth mindset towards learning. Learning in a general sense, like learning anything, whether it is driving a car or learning German, learning any foreign language, learning to use a computer. So, any kind of learning. So, how to develop growth mindset? Another interesting book that you should read is written by Terry Doyle and Todd Jakrasek. They are the authors of The New Science of Learning, How to Learn in Harmony with Your Brain, and they derive their ideas for one of their chapter from Carol Dweck's concept of mindset, in which they try to suggest ways of changing to a growth mindset. So, adopting from their views, I would like to tell you the following so that you can develop your own growth mindset towards learning. First and foremost thing is that recognize that hard work, gaining new knowledge, facing challenges will facilitate growth mindset, as opposed to the lazy mindset thinking that I will not take effort. Shift your thinking to I will try to work hard in this area. I will try to gain new knowledge. I will seek new information. I will try to update my knowledge, and then I will try to face challenges. So, this recognition will facilitate growth mindset. This means if you want to develop growth mindset in learning, try to work hard, do not hesitate to gain new knowledge and keep on facing challenges. Intellect, intelligence, brain can be grown with regular practice. Just like the way you develop your muscle, brain muscle can also be strengthened, developed, enhanced, again by practice. Failure is the next important aspect of identifying whether you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. Failure for a person with growth mindset will not be, need not be an end in itself. Failure will not determine the personality of a person with growth mindset. Focusing on how to improve a situation in which you have apparently failed but not actually failed. So, focusing on how to improve that situation using different strategies, different techniques, new methodology, giving more time and giving more efforts can actually contribute to success. In fact, many successful people with growth mindset have hugely benefited from failures. Not having failures would only indicate that the concerned person has not tried at all. Be always willing to take risks in terms of learning, however difficult it looks. Initially, if you are approaching a new subject, it appears to be very difficult, very tough. But despite the fact that it appears to be very difficult, very tough, be always willing to take risks in terms of learning and see how, even though it looks so difficult, you are willing to take risks. So, that alone will make you make good progress. Just to give you some more tips on developing growth mindset towards learning, do not be deterred by poor performance. Poor performance is not a reflection of one's personality or intelligence. If you failed in one subject, one paper, one area, that's not determining or saying that you are a failure, a monumental failure and you will not make any success in any areas, in any aspect of your life. So, it is wrong to consider that poor performance is something that is determining your personality, and that only a person with a fixed mindset will do. The other important part is doing this self-talk. Self-talk is very important. That is, when you get up in the morning and if you are going to try to do a difficult task, especially in terms of gaining some knowledge about a new subject, keep telling that it's easy, I have the growth mindset, I'll be able to tackle this, I enjoy facing challenges, at the end of this day I would learn this much, which will help me to know much better tomorrow. I am not afraid, I may not be smart, but I am willing to work hard. Okay. That self-talk, that is very important, that telling yourself, come on, do it. At the same time, it is very important to kill that negative voice. Killing that negative voice is also a must. What is the negative voice telling you? That you can't do it, you are not smart enough, this is too difficult for you. So, try to kill that, and then that doubting voice inside, that is also too bad. Can you really do this? Can you really handle this situation? So, kill this kind of negative voice and say that with positive affirmation that no, I can do this, I will handle this, I will prove that I can do this much better than other people. And similarly, exaggeration of a situation emanates from a fixed mindset. This you should understand. Normally, when the mind thinks that, oh, this is too big for me, this is too difficult for me, this is too tough, impossible, I can't do this at all, nobody can do this. Now, this is an exaggerated way of looking at things which is not actually happening in reality. There are people who have done it 10 times, 100 times better than you at that moment of your thinking. Okay. You only need to realize or see the examples, identify mentors, identify people who have crossed that situation, and then take that as a kind of inspiration to move ahead. So, that exaggerated thought is opposed to growth mindset. You have to make yourself see what is real, and in reality most of our exaggerated fears never happen. And last but not the least, always choose the growth mindset voice. Okay. The interesting thing that Dweck talks about is that fixed mindset and growth mindset will not 100% determine the personality of a human being. What does it mean? You cannot say, just like we try to talk about human personalities type A, type B. So, you cannot say that this person always has a fixed mindset and this person always has a growth mindset. What actually happens in reality is that we all have growth mindsets in certain aspects of our lives, and we all also have fixed mindsets in certain other aspects. A teacher may be very encouraging. Okay. For example, especially people from very poor background, the teacher is willing to give more time, give extra time, and then the teacher is very supportive. But the teacher may have a fixed mindset with regard to, let us say, women emancipation. So, the teacher has a very conservative outlook towards promoting girl students, for example. So, that is a fixed mindset that has come from certain experience, but the teacher is extraordinarily good in certain other aspects. So, what it means, we always have a voice that is trying to take us in a fixed mindset route, and there is another voice that is also trying to tell, no, do not do that, and then try to do this, improve on yourself, and then there is this growth mindset voice. Now, when you are caught between these two, always try to choose the one that is saying that it is risky, but it is worth trying. So, that is the growth mindset voice. Now, towards concluding this lecture, I just want to leave you with some thoughts, some inspiring quotations which tell you how people with growth mindset think normally. Look at the famous quote from Thomas Alva Edison. So, when he was interviewed by a journalist, especially after his failure and repeated failure in terms of building a light bulb. In terms of building a light bulb, he made this quote unquote, he says, "I have not failed 700 times, I have succeeded in proving 700 ways of how not to build a light bulb." I have not failed 700 times, I have succeeded in proving 700 ways of how not to build a light bulb. Okay. So, he never accepted failure, he only thought that he used a different strategy and now he needs to use something else so that you can finally build this light bulb. Michael Jordan, quote unquote, "I can accept failure, everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying." Okay. So, failure I can accept it, so that is not going to defeat my personality, but I can't accept not trying. It is your ability to try again and again, so that is giving you this growth mindset. And finally, another interesting quote from Andre Saint Lake, it is about this humble bumblebee. "According to aerodynamic laws, the bumblebee cannot fly. Its body weight is not the right proportion to its wingspan. But if you look at the humble bumblebee, it ignores these laws. Ignoring these laws, the bee flies anyway." So, if you are conditioned by laws, your mind becomes fixed. If you are able to ignore even the laws which are supposed to be fundamental, you can actually come out of that. So, that is the lesson that this bumblebee tells us. For further reference, apart from the materials from Carol Dweck that I mentioned in the previous one, you can also take a look at Terry Doyle's book on the new science of learning, in which the chapter 7 is completely about mindsets toward learning. The entire part is summarized and given in a very easily digestible manner from tomorrow's professor email newsletter, which is also available online if you click the link that I have provided. So, keep thinking, keep asking these questions, whether you have growth mindset or fixed mindset by and large, and what are the areas, aspects of your life in which you have fixed mindset and you have growth mindset. Now, if you have fixed mindset and if it is trying to curtail the development and enhancement of your personality, it is high time that you try to change the fixed mindset into growth mindset. Hopefully, the tips given in this lecture will help you to positively develop your growth mindset. Thank you for watching this video. I will come back with one more lecture, one more lesson on mindset, and just before that I will request you to go through the TED talk that I mentioned to you in the previous lecture if possible, and that will prepare you for the next lesson also. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next lesson.